Welcome to this Code Ninja Security Advisory Explainer. I'm your host, and today we're issuing an immediate critical alert regarding CWE-2026-43776. As a senior white hat security researcher, my goal today is to give you the authoritative, factual, and vigilant intelligence you actually need. We are looking at a really severe vulnerability that hits the core file parsing engines across the entire modern Apple ecosystem. We're talking iOS, iPadOS, and macOS. The objective with this explainer, it's simple. We're practicing coordinated vulnerability disclosure to essentially force a rapid vendor patch cycle and protect your perimeter, before active exploitation kicks off. We absolutely have to secure these endpoints immediately. Now, what's really interesting here, and frankly kind of terrifying, is the sheer scale of the blast radius. We aren't talking about some super complex multi-stage network intrusion that requires an advanced threat actor to somehow bypass all your firewalls. No, we are literally talking about a single file. That's it. A user receives a maliciously crafted media or data file, they open it, and boom, the trap is sprung. The result is either a total application crash, which, is basically a denial of service, or far worse, arbitrary code execution. That means the attacker's code runs right on your device and it gets the exact same privileges as the app you just used to open it. Across millions of Apple devices, man, this is a massive attack surface. Let's walk through the timeline, because this 48-hour sequence really exposes the extreme urgency of the threat and just how fast our whole cybersecurity apparatus has to move. So on July 27th, 2026, right at 11 a.m., Apple support officially drops their security advisories for this fix. Then, just a few hours later, the National Vulnerability Database ingests the data, and independent scoring kicks off. By just after midnight on July 28th, enterprise vulnerability management platforms, places like Qualys, had already pushed out scanner detection signatures to their enterprise tools. This rapid sequence tells you exactly how seriously the industry is taking this 0 day. If the scanners are already actively looking for it, your patching protocols need to be executing right now. All right, here is our mission briefing for today. We're going to cover the threat context, establish a communication link, do a technical deep dive, lay out our defense protocols, and finally conclude with the ethics of disclosure. Let's get into it. Section 1. Threat context. Section 2. Communication link. So I have to ask, is your communication link secure? In this landscape, real-time intelligence is absolutely your strongest shield. Because of that, I need you to subscribe to @cybertech99 right now and enable your notifications. Look at this as a baseline security necessity for your own threat intelligence feed. And hey, if you're receiving this intel loud and clear, go ahead and hit that like button. Think of it as a formal acknowledgement, like an ACK packet if you will, confirming receipt of this critical advisory. Section 3. Technical Deep Dive. Okay, let's really dive into this definition. CWE-120. This is the root cause we're dealing with, what's known as a classic buffer overflow. Think of a buffer in your system's memory kind of like a physical glass of water. It's designed to hold a very specific, limited amount of liquid, right? Well, when the Apple operating system processes an incoming file, say it's parsing a video file or some other data stream, it allocates a buffer for that specific data. But in this case, the system completely fails to validate the boundaries of that input. The attacker sends a file that is essentially acting like a fire hose, so the data overflows the glass and spills out into adjacent computer memory. That uncontrolled memory writing allows the attacker's malicious payload to just overwrite critical instructions. This leads to a sudden crash, or even worse, it hijacks the system entirely to execute their own code. And the official CISA-ADP score totally validates the severity of that overflow. It's sitting at a 7.8 out of 10. That firmly classifies this as a high-severity threat. But you might be wondering, why is it a 7.8 and not, say, a critical 9 or a 10? Well, the answer to that actually lies in the specific attack vectors. So, the crucial point is right here in the metrics breakdown. Let's just parse this out for a second. The attack vector is local, which means the file actually has to be present on the system. The attack complexity? Low, meaning once that file is triggered, the exploit is highly reliable. They don't need perfect, super complex race conditions to make it work. Privileges required is none. The attacker absolutely doesn't need admin rights to drop their payload. But look closely at that fourth bullet. User interaction is required. This right here is exactly why the score is 7.8. The whole exploit relies entirely on a human making a mistake. It literally relies on you opening that malicious file. And if you do happen to take the bait, the final metric kicks in. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability all suffer a high impact. We're talking total compromise of the application's environment. Section 4. Defense Protocols. All right, here is your immediate remediation target list. Whether you're just managing a single iPad for yourself or you're handling a massive enterprise fleet, this is exactly what you need to audit right now. Across iOS, macOS Sequoia, and Tahoe, you absolutely must update to the fixed versions shown. Apple actually addressed this vulnerability by introducing improved bounds checking in these specific releases. So basically, the glass can no longer overflow.
But look, in the real world, we all know patching takes time. So let's go over this step-by-step mitigation strategy, what we call our defense in-depth protocol. Step 1 is obviously the ultimate goal, update the OS immediately. But step 2? That's your behavioral firewall. Until your endpoint is 100% confirmed patched, you have to enforce strict policies against opening any unverified media files. Remember what we just talked about. User interaction is required. If you don't open the untrusted file, the exploit completely fails. And step 3 is really for the network defenders out there. Utilize your email and web security gateways. You've got to inspect and quarantine any anomalous incoming attachments before they even have a chance to reach the end user's inbox.
Section 5. Ethics of Disclosure.
Now, the core philosophy behind why we are even having this conversation today really comes down to coordinated vulnerability disclosure. Right now, the exploit prediction scoring system actually places the probability of exploitation pretty low, just 0.15%, and there's currently no public proof of concept out there in the wild. So you might be asking, why raise the alarm if the hackers aren't even using it yet? Well, we analyze and release this structured intelligence for a reason, to force vendors to patch, and to ensure that you, both the everyday user and the defender, achieve operational readiness way before those exploit kits ever hit the dark web. You need this transparency so you can secure your endpoints today, not tomorrow when it's already too late.
And that basically brings us to the end of today's advisory. You have your mission and you have your remediation targets. But before you click away from this explainer, I want you to ask yourself, what unverified file is sitting in your inbox right now, just waiting for a single click? Patch your systems, verify your media, and honestly trust absolutely nothing unverified. Stay secure.